Welcome to Frido. So just begin to relax, and we're going to begin with a small meditation followed by the Journey of Frido poem. So just begin to relax yourself and get settled. And if you need to move or adjust yourself at any time, feel free. And I just invite you to close your eyes and begin to observe your body sensations, your breathing, and any thoughts that may or may not come into the mind. Just gently scan through your body from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. Simply observing, noticing any feelings, any sensations that may arise in any one of your body organs or parts of your body. Notice if there's any tension or any relaxation. And as you continue to breathe, you can now expand your awareness out into the room or the space that you're in. Just noticing the temperature of the air on your skin and any sounds around. Just continuing to breathe comfortably as your awareness expands out into the town that you live in or your surrounding area. Just observing how that feels. As your attention expands further still out into the world, into the whole world, noticing the atmosphere, the feelings in the world, with all its people, animals, plants, different races and religions, different age groups, physical abilities, different cultures. Just noticing and observing the world. Maybe your attention goes to one particular country or culture, or perhaps nothing, just a feeling. And as you continue to breathe comfortably, expand your awareness now out into the universe, the infinite universe of ever-ending space. Just notice the atmosphere, the energy of the universe. And you can just float around for a while. You can float around the universe as long as you want. Notice how that feels. Maybe you'll go somewhere, or maybe you'll stay in one place. And when you're ready, in your own time, you can gently begin your journey back into the world, back into the town, back into your space, and finally returning back into your body. once again noticing your breathing, noticing any thoughts, and noticing any body sensations. And while you're in this particular state, I'm going to read out the Frido Journey. It's a poem, The Journey of Frido. Something stirs from deep inside. It twists and turns 1,000 times. It pulls and stretches into shape. A figure shows and moves around. A hand supports it from below until it feels and begins to grow. Building blocks are put in place until the figure is nice and safe. The figure starts to create its own, from light and darkness, vibrating tone. Birth and death begin to rise. The figure splits to compromise. The figure then creates some space. Now life and death begin their race, until the space has found a way to stabilize and have its say. Space creates a home for all. The separation of large and small, of water, fire, earth and air, weight and lightness, cold and brightness, pain and sorrow, love and joy. Out of this space comes girl and boy. The figure has journeyed through time and space, feeling as though it has won the race, looking around only to find a universe of an amazing kind. The training's been tough, it's been testing and rough. The figure is ready, it's complete and steady. Back to the source, the figure must run, for now the journey has just begun. Welcome to Frido Density Destruction. So this little beauty is the Frido Density symbol, and it's a number 3. It's a solar plexus energy. At the bottom of the card there you can see a little yellow triangle. It's part of the psychodrama, the role modelling, the mentoring. It's part of the empowerment family in Frido. So it's all about being in our power of who we are. Our power is our self, our true self, not trying to pretend to be something we're not. In actual fact, it's refining who we are in the way we act, the way we behave, and the way we present ourselves and express ourselves to the world. So it's kind of, people who are very successful, whether they're good people or bad people, they've got a very strong way of being. It's like, Julius Caesar, you might think he's a bad person, but the fact is he was quite successful what he did, and he was a strong character. The same as all the bad villains, in films, they're really strong in their character. The same as good people, of course, as well. For example, business, I know a business person who's very arrogant. I'd say I don't like that about them. Not very nice people, but they're very powerful, and they're very successful. And often we don't tune into those energies because we don't like them. Arrogance, I don't like, maybe, because I've never seen it used in a good way. Power, kind of, aggression, anger. Maybe I've never seen those kind of energies used in a positive way. But the point is, they can be, and they're often what's stopping us actually being ourselves. Often we deny, our darker sides of ourselves, our anger, our selfishness, our arrogance, our ego. We often deny them, but often those parts of us are there. So, we'll often find if we deny those other parts, they'll come and bite us. Often the clown or the comedian or somebody who likes to be happy all the time and funny, often they've got an opposite shadow that's lurking deep down, like their depression, the sadness underneath all that, and often that will come out in their home life, in their self, internally. So although they'll express their happy side on the outside, inside they're feeling very sad. They can be, and they'll often turn to alcohol, or drugs to try and still hide those parts, to get away from them, but they just get worse. So until they can really own those energies, own their anger, own their sadness, own their unhappiness, and actually bring it out in a conscious way, in a healthy way, they can actually use those energies in a positive way. But because they've never learned to, they're still viewing them as negatives, and they want to hide them more. So this is our shadow we're working with today. We're bringing out those parts that maybe we've been hiding because we've only ever seen them as a negative thing. But we want to kind of see the positive aspects of these. They can be so powerful and healing when we express them into ourself, into our life. So I'll invite you to close your eyes and just relax a little bit. And while I read the card out. So density, destruction. This is the divine masculine, often referred to as our shadow, often viewed only as wanting to destroy and destruct, to hold us back and block our light and freedom. When we learn to dance with this energy, we experience the power to harness and guide it. Feeling scared, we should be. This symbol is no ordinary one. As powerful as the divine feminine, this is her brother, sometimes known as the shadow, devil, and more. He is the one that makes our body feel rigid and stuck, frozen with fear, unable to move or even think. He shows himself in other ways too, through our work, relationships, situations, even our food, an animal, plant, or anything else in our environment can show up as our shadow. We know it's him by the way he makes us feel uneasy, uncomfortable, maybe even angry, jealous, or hateful. So be scared. We should be, because he's the key to being free. Our shadows are strength and protection. So begin thinking of someone you either dislike, makes you feel anxious, negative, or weak. Ask any question you may have and imagine what answer they'll give you. By understanding this energy more deeply, you'll become free of this. So when you're ready in your own time, you can gently come back into the space and begin our journey. So with a sheet of paper at hand, the first thing to do is put the name of the word you're working with today. Is it your job? Is it work? Is it love? Is it a person? The word you're working with today, your symbol. Put a date on your paper if you want. and the name of our journey today, which is density destruction. So first give yourself a percentage of where you feel you are in your understanding of the word you've chosen today. If you've chosen love, it's like, are you the master of love? If you were the master of love, your life would be just love, because you'd be in total control of love in every aspect. So you'd give yourself 100%. If you feel like you've only got a little bit of love in your life, you might give yourself a lower percentage, because if you understood love totally, you'd become a master of it, like any other subject. If you become a master of tennis, you become really good at it, right? In your life, you can't go wrong. Or swimming, or surfing, or mathematics, or science, or any cooking. If you really know cooking well, if you understand cooking totally, you become a master cook. So it would never go wrong, it'd always be perfect. So if you're a master of your word, if you understand your word totally, you become a master of it. So be honest with yourself, and measure yourself. Where are you with your word? How well do you know it? How much of a master of you of it? And pop that percentage down. Okay, now choose some people, one person or more, who can represent your word for you. They could be anybody, anyone dead or alive. It could be someone fictional, non-fictional. It could be Superman. It could be someone you've read in a book, watched on a film. It could be your next door neighbour, Bob or Alice. Anybody, someone from school perhaps, when you were growing up, a family member. It could be someone you've just heard about and never met. But anyone that comes to mind that represents your word for you. If you've chosen love, who would represent love? Who can you think of? If it's money, who can you think of that's really a good role model? Well, I say role model, someone who's got a lot of money perhaps, or earns a lot of money in some way. Doesn't matter how, but they've got what you want. And then once you've got 1 or 2 or 3 people down, see if you can find the one you like the least out of all those people. So if you've thought of love, you might think of someone who's got a beautiful love life, but you're not that keen on them, or you don't respect them that much, but they've kind of got what you want anyway. And if you've chosen money, maybe you've chosen there's someone on your list that they've got a lot of money, but you don't particularly like them or respect them. So it's okay if you haven't got someone you don't like, but it's kind of good if you have. So choose the person you like the least. Or if you need to think of someone else that you kind of don't like so much, but is a really good representation of what your word is, then choose them. And we're going to do an exercise. It's an acting exercise. You're going to act as this person you've chosen. It's like having a mentor living with you who's really good at what you want, and you can learn from them by being with them and stepping into their shoes. That's what we're going to do today. You're going to be stepping into this person's shoes, because they hold something that you're not seeing in yourself, or you're not expressing in yourself. So the first thing, start tuning in to their energy, start becoming this kind of person, how they would be sitting, how they'd be thinking and feeling. And start pretending. Of course it's pretending, you're pretending to be them. And then once you feel kind of you've got it, you're kind of, you're as close as you can be to pretending you're them. Start answering these questions. So who are you? So answer me with whoever you are, this person, and how do you feel? So just express how you think you're feeling, how you think this person would be feeling right now. What's your abilities? So what are you good at? What are you good at doing? What are you really good at doing? So again, answer from this person's viewpoint. What do you think you're pretending? What do you think they're good at doing? And when you're ready, how do you view life? So what's your attitude towards life and towards people and other things? So keep pretending, being this person. And what advice would you give to someone? If somebody came to you, what advice would you give them? So pretend, what advice do you think this person would give them? And speak it out, express it the way they would, or the way you think they would. And what advice would you give you? What advice would you give? What advice would my character give Gary? What advice would your character give you in your life? And checking if there's anything else you want to share as this character. So stay as long as you want. Go through these questions a bit more, or just share anything else that might come while you're being this person. Spend a few minutes, or 5 minutes, or 10 minutes. And if you need to have a walk around, just being this person. And then we're going to go straight into the activation. So while you're still pretending to be this person, I want you to start walking around, doing things. Have a look around while you're being this person. So you'll be looking in the way this person would look, how you think they're feeling. Maybe you would touch something, have a touch around your environment, but as this person. Maybe speak as this person would speak. Have a jump around, have a dance around, spin around, sit down, but doing lots of actions, but as this person would be doing, in their style, in the way they would be doing it. So again, spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes doing this to really tune in and start to embody this kind of energy of this person, because you really need to understand them, what it feels like to be them. So yeah, just continue to do that for a while. And then we're going to go straight into the ritual. The ritual is designed that you can do any day of the week, anywhere you are. So this ritual is fantastic. It's called Density Squeeze. Because our shadow, the things that we've been suppressing, sometimes for years, we've squeezed them into our muscles, into our body cells, that they're kind of out of sight. As soon as we feel them, we get resistance. We're feeling resistance as they're trying to appear. So sometimes our shadow appears in other people in our life and we get triggered. So whenever we get a little bit triggered and we feel some kind of conflict or resistance, it's because it's triggering those buried feelings and emotions and parts of ourselves that we're trying to keep hidden. So that's when you're triggering your shadow. So they're deep into the body cells. So we're going to do this thing called density squeeze, because we can now go into them. We can squeeze right into them and kind of bring them out in a really healthy way, because they're very powerful, these energies. The longer we keep them suppressed, the more damage they'll do. They'll start to do damage inside us, damage in our lives. Again, I don't go too much into this. This is part of our training. If you want to come on the training as a Frido guide, we'd go much deeper into the processes and why. So what I want you to do is, you can either use I like to use something called a freezy sometimes, or an object that can connect you, or sometimes I like to use what I call frescence, which is a Frido essence that I've created for the shadow. So there's a shadow essence, and you can spray this onto yourself. They just help sometimes tune in to the shadow energy, so it helps us. But don't worry, the main exercise is just going to be squeeze. So I want you to kind of just walk around and start or sitting down or laying down, whatever you want to do, but begin to squeeze different parts of your body. So you might begin to squeeze your hand into a fist and then release. And you might do it again. Squeeze, and squeeze as much or as little as you want, and release. And then choose another body part that you can squeeze, maybe your neck. Like squeeze it, and hold it, squeeze it, and release it. And then your shoulders, squeeze and release. And maybe your whole body, squeeze and release. And the idea is it's not so much holding the squeeze. If you feel like you've squeezed and now you're holding it, release because you've stopped squeezing. You're now in holding position. So the idea is to feel the squeeze and still squeezing. So if you can continue to squeeze, keep on doing it. As soon as you've stopped squeezing and you've kind of in the holding squeeze, just release and do it again. So we're kind of connecting to the part that's actually squeezing. So movement, squeezing, and then release, and then go on to another part of your body. And you can do this for as little as 10 seconds or an hour or more. The longer you do it, the deeper you'll go. But the important thing is it's like practicing it on a regular basis. So the more you practice this squeezing, you'll be almost like squeezing out things that are aggravating you, like things that you're buried, anger, frustration, irritation. And the squeezing technique helps. It's like a sponge. It's like squeezing out the sponge. And the more you squeeze that sponge, the more water comes out of the sponge. So it's a great technique for squeezing out those kind of energies that are giving us problems that we suppressed. They're only actually giving us problems because we're suppressing them, that's all. You'll see when they come out, you'll feel different. They'll actually empower you. So finally we're going to do the learning. So the learning affirmation. So write down in a small sentence kind of the key learning for today's journey. And keep it short as possible. Just like one sentence, keep it simple. Once you've written your sentence, try and make it even more simple by taking out some of the words that don't need to be there. Sometimes there's words that don't need to be there, or you're repeating the similar word with the same meaning. And make it short as possible, 4 or 5 words maximum. A really short learning, essence of it, summarize your learning. And once you've got your summary sentence, I want you to turn that into an affirmation. So if you've learned, for example, your sentence is, anger can actually help me. That might be your learning sentence. Anger can actually help me. I want you to turn that into an affirmation. It's like, anger does help me. Or, I like anger. Anger is useful. Make it into a short affirmation, like it's actually happening to you, it's working for you. Anger is wonderful. Anger works for me. This kind of thing. So it's kind of what it's doing for you now as you're learning. And once you've got your affirmation, you'll know if you've got a powerful affirmation, because when you read it, it will just feel powerful and clear and to the point. If it feels a bit disjointed or confusing, then try and change it and shorten it. Normally shorten it works. The more short, the more powerful. And finally, you want to be able to test that learning. It's like, if I love anger, so how am I going to test that? It's like, I need to go and do something. So pick an action, one action that you can do to test it, to test that learning. So for me, I might choose, okay, I am anger. I'm going to go and confront somebody. I need to actually confront this person who I know because they've been annoying me at work, and I need to confront them because I'm actually not happy. I'm actually quite angry. Maybe the way my boss has treated me, and I'm going to go and have a conversation with him and confront him and say, hey, this isn't on. I'm going to prove, I love anger. It's like, hey, I'm actually feel quite angry about the way you've been treating me. Or you might write a letter to somebody, you want to express that. So have a think about what you can do in action, a real action in your life. You can go and prove this learning and use it. So we're going to just finish off with the percentage. So the percentage you did at the beginning like how well you know the word you've chosen today, the word you've chosen, how much of a master you are of that word. Check in now with that number, whether it's between 1 and 100, whether it's higher than before or lower or the same. It doesn't matter. It's a learning. There's a reason for doing this, and you'll start to get it as you do these journeys more. But it's finding out just where you are right now. Do you feel like you've learned more? You know more than before, whether it's from your mind or whether you feel different, you feel like you've learned something, or not. There could be a reason you feel like you've learned less, or you know less now, or the same. Nothing's changed. Maybe that's fine. Just give yourself a number. And yeah, if you want to, hope you enjoyed the journey today. If you want a one-to-one, come on the website. You can do as many of these journeys as you want, of course, on free play on this website. We do retreats several a year. We have live webinars 3 or 4 times a week. So check out our calendar. We're putting them on every week. New webinars, interactive webinars. Some of them are themed. They've already got a theme, like easy money, or self-love, or inner trust. And we always usually do one a week where you choose your own. Everyone chooses their own theme for themselves, just like you've done today. And they're great fun, and they're kind of more interactive, and I can talk to you a bit more and personalize the journey. So I hope you enjoyed the journey today. See you soon, and keep living the dream.